Welcome back, Alien, to the second video where we are talking about the AWS certification. In the previous video, we have talked about AWS beginners, I mean AWS basics, and now it's time for the certifications. So I have some amazing questions for Ranga, and Ranga is here to answer those for us. And we all know, right, the amount of certifications Ranga has given. So he has good amount of experience in terms of certification to answer this. So Ranga, welcome back to the next video on AWS certification.
Thanks, Naveen.
Awesome. So even before we start with the questions, I just want to know your experiences with any certification. Let's say if you want to give a certification in next 3 months, how do you plan your certification?
Right. So preparing for certifications needs a lot of, like, especially with something like the cloud, right? If it's like a new area that you're venturing into, it needs a lot of planning. So if I actually if I'm planning to do a certification, let's say 3 months down the line, the first thing I would want to do is to try and get hands-on with it. Like, I like actually to play with it. Even for theoretical certifications, I like to really play with things and like understand them really, really well. And not just look at them from a certification perspective, but also look at them from the usage perspective, right? How, like, what are the important features? Like, let's say if I'm trying to learn AWS, then I would investigate, okay, compared to my learning today, what are the things in AWS that relates to me? What are the things I would want to get really, really hands on? I would look at what are the different resources which are present out there, right? And then try to pick up, like, try to explore different resources and try to find out which is the one which helps me to learn the fast, right? So like, there's a lot of research which is involved, and I would start with doing that research and trying to find out what are the things that works for me. So that's where I would start whenever I would start with a certification.
Awesome. You know what happened in the month of November? I bought an exam for Hyperledger Fabric, and it's been now 5 6 months. I have not even started studying, and then the exam will expire in this November. So I have to. So that's why I mentioned. In next 3 months or 4 months, I have to give that exam. I will follow these tips from which I have mentioned.
Absolutely.
Cool.
And another thing which is really, really good is to have a deadline. Like,
Yeah.
it's great if you can actually say, okay, I'm going to do this on July 6th, whatever comes. So
Right.
that really, really helps. Having a deadline motivates us a lot more.
Yeah, that makes sense. So my birthday is on 20 August. Let me give the exam on that day itself. So that's a gift to myself. Cool. Let's start with the exams here, Ranga. So when we talked about AWS, and of course, it's very interesting to learn and work on AWS. So the question is certification a good way to start your AWS certificate or AWS journey?
To be really frank, Naveen, I hate certifications. Like, I hated Java certification. I hated all the Python certifications which are out there because I don't feel they have a value at all. Like, if I am a good programmer, does Java certification add any value to me? Absolutely not. But I felt like when I started learning the cloud, when I started playing with it a lot more, I realized that cloud is really, really vast, right? So in the earlier video, we were talking about the fact that cloud has 200 plus services, right? Even people I talked to who had like 3 or 4 years of experience in the cloud, they only knew specific services related to their specific parts. They did not have a high level overview of the cloud. They did not have the complete capabilities to make the best use of the cloud. And that's where I think certifications have a great, are a great thing, because uh, to get a high level overview of what are the different things which are happening in the IT industry, right? So today, if you look at the IT industry, there are a lot of things which are happening: containers, container orchestration, serverless. Even on the database sides, there are new variety of NoSQL databases coming in. There are new approaches to machine learning. There are new approaches to data engineering. So, as a technologist, as somebody who's working in the IT industry, you need to have a high level overview. You don't need to master each one of these, but you need to have a high level overview of these. And also, you need to know how you can do this in the cloud at a high level. So having a good high level overview of all these things, I think, will make you a really, really good programmer or developer. And that's what cloud certifications enable. They enable you to, depending on the certification, they enable you to get a high level overview or go deep into specific services in the cloud. And that's where I see a great role for certifications when it comes to cloud.
Cool. Now that makes sense, right? But then let's say if I get certified today with a particular version, example specific to Java, we talk about Java versions, right? So if you get certified for Java 8, and then once you have Java 11, you have to certify again. So do we have an expiry
Absolutely.
period, or do we have to give exam once again in
Yeah.
some time, or one certification
It
does all
varies
the
from
work?
cloud platform to cloud platform, and also it varies from certification to certification, right? If you look at Azure, Azure has Azure fundamental certifications, which you don't need to renew at all. They are lifelong. However, most of the other certifications are not like that. You need to regularly renew them. Maybe every 2 years or 3 years is typically the renewal period. However, I feel picking the right certifications and renewing them once every 3 years is a good thing to do, because it keeps your skills updated. Because like you pick up any cloud platform, there are changes which happen, right? It's like the changes are typically more than what happened with a specific language, because there are new approaches to doing things which evolve, and all those changes are incorporated into the certification exam, so that the retake of the certification exam gives you additional knowledge, right? It gives you additional knowledge of how to use the cloud even better. So typically it will not be very hard, right? So doing the certification first time is difficult, but doing it the second time, I don't think it will be as hard as the first time. It would be maybe 10 to 15% of the effort. So, and it helps you to learn, I mean, update, refresh everything. And cloud being something which is like the number one thing to learn, right? Today, if you look at the industry, I would definitely put cloud, AWS, Azure, or Google Cloud as the number one thing that somebody has to learn today. And therefore, it's very, very important for me, like to appear for certifications and renew them.
Right. Now, when you mentioned about applying for the first time, it is quite exciting, right? Because this is the first time you're giving the exam, and then
Right.
you're not sure how will be your experience. But then I'm not sure if we go for the renewal exam, will do we have the same amount of excitement? That's something we need to check.
No, I doubt if you'll have the same amount of excitement too. I doubt, because it's not the same, right? If you look at my, like I have almost 10 cloud certifications. The first one I did, AWS Solution Architect, that was the one which gave me the highest amount of satisfaction and highest amount of excitement. And the last few certifications, I mean, they're not even repeats, like they are new certifications themselves, but there
Right.
was not so much excitement in doing something similar in other clouds, because the concepts are very, very similar. The first time you learn something, first time everything is new, that's when the buzz is there. So I
True.
loved my experience of doing the AWS Solution Architect Associate certification.
Right. Now, with that, I have another question. When you mentioned about 10 certifications, I was like, okay, where do we start with? So let's say, I mean, of course, apart from this 10 certification, we have more exams which a person can give. So how do we start our journey? So which one to give first?
Right. So if you like, probably like specific to AWS, there are a lot of other like there are certifications related to AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, and I have 10 certifications. I mean, I have actually three in AWS,
Oh,
like three in Azure, and four in Google Cloud. So I did not do all the 10 certifications in AWS. So that's one clarification. So specific to AWS, I think like if you have no experience with AWS, whether you are technology, whether you are a technical guy, whether you are not a technical guy, whether you're a tester, business analyst, if you have no experience with AWS, the best place to start would be AWS Cloud Practitioner. Right? That's the easiest certification for anybody to do. It gives you a good introduction into the cloud concepts. Like whenever we talk about the cloud, there are a lot of very, very important concepts that you need to understand: infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, software as a service, regions, zones, different compute services, networking, security. That's another important thing. So you need to have a high level overview of all the important things. And that's what this certification gives you. It gives you a high level overview of all the important concepts that you need to know, irrespective of whether you are technical or non technical. So I would say, like if you have zero knowledge of AWS, start with AWS Cloud Practitioner. And other than that, there are a lot of other certifications as well.
okay. So let's say if I want to give, so I'm a developer and I also make application, web application. I want to, in future, I want to go for blockchain as well on AWS. So any recommended order I can follow specific to my
Yeah.
zone. So let's say I will start with cloud practitioner, web
Yeah,
practitioner.
sure. Let me share the screen, Naveen, on like the AWS website where the entire thing is. So this is the AWS certification homepage, right? If you just do a Google for AWS certification, this is where you'd get to. And if you scroll down in here, you'll be able to see all the available AWS certifications. If you look at it at a high level, the AWS certifications are divided into four categories: foundational, professional, associate, and specialty. Actually, I should say foundational, associate, professional, and specialty. The foundational one is the one which we talked about until now. This is AWS Cloud Practitioner. This is great for anybody who has no knowledge of AWS, no knowledge of cloud, and they would want to understand what you can do with the cloud. That's where you can go for AWS Cloud Practitioner. This is a very, very easy exam typically to clear. Typically, I would say 1 to 1.5 months is the maximum amount of time it takes to clear this certification. And this is a great place to start. Once you clear the foundational certification, I would recommend you to go into the associate certification. So depending on the role you are playing, if you are a developer or a solution architect or a systems administrator, based on your specific role, you can go for one of these associate level certifications. However, it's very, very important to remember that these associate level certifications are much, much more complex than the foundational certification. Typically, the preparation would be like 2 to 3 months, maybe even more for some people. So, and also another common thing I see over here is a lot of developers try and go to the solution architect certification. I don't see the value of doing that. Typically, for developers, I would recommend the developer associate certification, AWS certified developer associate. And once you have significant experience with AWS, once you have solution architect experience, then you can go for solution architect associate, right? Other than this, there are specialty certifications as well. So if you are a networking guy, then you have advanced networking specialty. If you are into data analytics, like you are doing data engineering and things like that, in those kind of situations, you can go for the data analytics specialty. You also have a database specialty for deep focus on databases, the SQL databases, NoSQL databases, analytics databases, and things like that. You also have a machine learning specialty for people who are machine learning experts. They can try the machine learning specialty. And you also have security and also SAP on AWS. These are all specialty certifications. So if you are doing a role which involves any of these, then these specialty certifications will be recommended for you. If you want more advanced knowledge, then you can go for the professional certifications. The professional certification, like there is an associate certification for solutions architect, as well as a professional certification for solution architect. The professional certification for solution architect is one of the toughest exams out there. Typically, I would say 3 to 6 months of preparation you would need to do the solution architect professional. And you also have a DevOps engineer professional. So if you are doing a DevOps engineer role, then you might want to go for the professional DevOps engineer certification. One question I always have is, why is DevOps engineer a professional certification, and why is it not a specialty certification? There is no answer to it, but at a high level, I think these are the important certifications. Now, coming to your specific case, Naveen, I think for you, I think you have some amount of experience playing with AWS. So you might want to actually skip the cloud practitioner certification and maybe go into either the developer or the solution architect certification. Right now, there is no blockchain specialty in AWS, but with time, I see that coming in. Like within a few years, I would definitely think there would be a blockchain specialty certification in here. And when that certification comes in, probably you can go for that. So it gives you good knowledge. So the developer or the solution architect associate would give you good knowledge of AWS. If you are interested in serverless, then probably developer is recommended. And like maybe after that, based on the new certification on blockchain, you can start doing that.
Awesome. So let's say if I decided now to start with the associate developer role or maybe certification, so how do I prepare? Do we have books available, or AWS provides their own certification trainings or anything?
Yeah, so there are AWS certifications available for the basic level ones, at least. The cloud practitioner has AWS certification course available. And also there are a lot of resources available on the net. So you have a lot of free content on YouTube. There are Udemy courses. There are Coursera courses which are present for you to help. If you'd want, actually, I have my own course on developer associate as well. So one of the biggest differences I feel with respect to my course from others is the fact that I don't just restrict to the certification. Right? The goal of the certification is to give you not just the certification, but also to the practical knowledge of using it in the real world. And that's what we aim to do, right? So if you are talking about serverless, for example, right, it's not sufficient if you know the rules around Lambda. You need to have the experience of building something with Lambda. You want to have the experience of building a REST API or deploying a full stack application with Lambda, things like that. And that's what we aim to do through our courses, right? So our certification courses help you to do that. So we have actually three certification courses. Among all these, we picked three important ones and we created certification courses around them. We have certification courses for cloud practitioner, which is the beginner certification. We have certification course for developer associate and solution architect. Solution architect, I think developer associate would give you a lot of value because it goes deeper into serverless.
Cool, cool. That's quite simple, right? So now, irrespective if I give Hyperledger Fabric or not, I should try the developer certification for AWS. It looks quite easy, not exactly easy, but then something I can do in this year.
Yeah, it's
So
not easy, but I think it gives you knowledge on two of the most important trends, right? One of the like if you look at the trends which are happening in the industry today, serverless is a very important trend, and the other one
right.
is NoSQL databases, right? So that's another important trend. So
Mhm.
developer focuses a lot more on NoSQL databases as well. It expects you to
Oh,
have
is it?
very deep
Okay.
knowledge on DynamoDB as well. So that's where like I feel like it's also a conscious shift from AWS. AWS wants to promote serverless as much as possible, and that's why in their developer certification they give high prominence to everything related to serverless: AWS Lambda, API gateway, uh, DynamoDB. So these are the things which they focus a lot in the developer one. The architect one is a little bit different in the sense that the focus on serverless is not so much, but again,
Mhm.
the architect one is more focused on helping you make a choice, right? So at a beginner level, you'd want to understand each of the service. At an architect level, you'd want to understand it in at a deeper level so that you can make a choice, right? So given a problem, you'd want to be able to choose between the different options which are available. So if you would want to deploy an application, you have a lot of options which are available in EC2. You can either which are available in AWS. You can either go for EC2 or you can go for containers. You can go for serverless. You can use Elastic Beanstalk. So which is the right option to choose? Same is the case with databases, right? So there are so many options that are available. How do you choose the right one? That's what architect
Right.
enables you to do.
Right. That makes sense. So what, I forgot to ask one important question, which is there in everybody's mind. How much the certification cost?
Right. So these certifications typically are very, very expensive, right? I think AWS ones cost around $200. I think
Oh,
something like that. And once you do a certification, the good thing is you get a discount coupon for the next certification. So you get, I think, a
okay.
50% discount voucher for the next one. So the first certification is expensive. The subsequent ones are half the price, so it might not be so expensive. However, like if you look at most of the IT companies, right? So today, uh, like almost all the IT services companies, they want
Mhm.
cloud certified people. So they want their
Okay.
employees to get their associates to get cloud certified. So
So they
a
will
lot of
sponsor.
these, yeah, they sponsor them, and also the cloud platforms themselves have tie-ups with enterprises. They
Mm.
have tie-ups with colleges. So there are options where you can actually get these certifications for free as well. A lot of
Awesome.
employees, like a lot of like IT services companies, like if you look at the end of last year, there was a tremendous increase in consumption of our courses, especially the cloud certification. I did not
Mhm.
understand why. At the end, I understood that almost everybody's year-end goal was to achieve a certification, and that's why they were
Oh,
doing
okay.
these courses left, right, and center.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Hopefully, the people who are watching this, the company will sponsor them, or maybe colleges will have a tie up, and it will be helpful. So that's
Absolutely.
interesting. We have talked about AWS basics in the previous video. We have talked about certification. So if you want to go for certification, try it out. And as Ranga mentioned, set a deadline. Let's say if you want to give it in Diwali or maybe somewhere at that time, it's a good amount of time you have. So set a date, maybe your birthday as well, and start preparing for today from today. Don't wait for maybe I will do it in next year or somewhere. Decide and specify the date and start with the preparation. So thank you so much, Ranga, for the talk on certifications, and of course, people are motivated to do that now. But then we have two more. We have to talk about GCP and Azure as well. That will be coming in the upcoming videos. Thank you so
Looking
much,
forward to them,
Ranga.
Naveen. Thank you,
Yeah,
Naveen.
same here. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. See you in the next video.